Live. Need a little box to get me up a little higher. There we go.
That's too high?
No, it's absolutely perfect. We are live now, and we'll just get the camera round. Set that up. Here we go. We're live. I don't know if we've got enough light on the subject. Maybe our lighting technician will come in a moment and let me know if, yeah, there we are. Simon Walsh. Good morning, mate. Good morning, Simon Walsh. Well, here we are. Welcome to the Saturday morning podcast. Saturday morning live with Johnyboy, and just got to say a big thank you to everybody that's actually joining us now. They are Debbie McGee's just brought my glasses in. Push that to one side. Yeah, thanks for joining. First of all, we got to say a massive thank you to ITS for again supporting this Saturday morning podcast. ITS, www.its.co.uk. They're the guys that do all of those tools, so you can get your Easter deals. So John Ward, I can see John Ward just joined us as usual. Thanks for joining, John. We got 7 live viewers. We've got 1 thumbs up. Maybe we'll have a few more thumbs up in a minute. Thanks for joining, John. If you do go to the ITS website and you put in the promo code Johnyboy, you do at the moment the deal is you get a free truck. Matt Cooper, good morning, Matt Cooper. Just to let you know what's going to be going on in the show later. Just read what John says now. We've got Simon Walsh, John Ward, morning John, and Alison. He never forgets Alison. John Ward, thank you very much. Alison's absolutely made up with that, and that's really, if there was ever a great human being, it's our John. He's always on here and he's always positive. It's not working, the promo code, says Simon Walsh. Simon, maybe you haven't got it, put it in right. If you look at the post on YouTube, the community post, you'll see that how it's got to be entered. You just got to type it in. Sometimes it's in capitals, sometimes it's not. We'll get that clarified at some point. They have got some fantastic deals on at the moment. Look, thanks for joining this morning, and as per usual, just let you know what's going to be happening. We have Patrick Dwyer from Chameleon Landscapes that's going to be joining us at 10:45 as usual, and we're going to see what Patrick has to say, what's he got up his sleeve this week. We will be going through and we will be talking about the comments that people have been sending me, and the questions, loads of stuff about technical stuff. And do you know, this week I've really sort of had this little point, I had this little turning point this week where I really felt as if I was struggling about those how-to videos. I don't know what, I just want to read what people say because it's so important. They've taken time to join us. Simon, oh, that's Alison there. Stanley says, just watched your How to Be a Landscaper video. Very inspiring. Thank you. Stanley, that's my pleasure. Those are the videos that I really feel that really bring a huge amount of value to the landscaping industry. If you're going to become a landscaper, it's not necessarily how to be a landscaper or how to put a post in, how to lay a slab, how to build a brick wall. And if you're going to be a landscaper, it's why you want to be a landscaper. That's the thing. It's why. Why is the biggest search term word on Google last year? Why? Why do things do what they do? Why do they work the way they work? Look, just Matt Cooper says, desperate for a landscaper for laying of 30 square meters of porcelain. Anyone available in the Newport area? Matt Cooper. Matt, I will tell you now, mate, if that's the Newport area, South Wales, that's where I am. Diane Dean, really enjoy your videos. I've learnt a lot. Thanks, Diane. Hey, Joe, it's great having new viewers. Matt Cooper is looking for somebody to lay 30 meters of paving in the Newport area. Matt, it just depends on how soon you want it done, where you are. If you need some advice in the meantime, if we can't do it, if we can't give you a quote, we can give you some advice. If you want to set up an online chat, an online call, an online consultation, we can take you through that process. I think what you'll find is at the moment, a lot of people are massively busy, okay? We are booking into next year and we are telling people that we can't get to them. Alison's responded. It's great having Alison on board. She's a massive all-rounder and also a master of many skills. John Ward says, just big respect from me to you and Alison for the efforts you are trying to educate us. I do know how much it takes out of your quality home time. If you don't listen, you don't learn. There we are. Wise words from John Ward. That's why this podcast works. Because it's not about me, it's about you guys. Just to let you know what's happened this morning, as per usual, Alison is so house proud. She's actually gone through everything this morning, opened the windows, so we can get some fresh air in here. And as if I haven't had any fresh air this week, because I've been back to Ebervale to see our wonderful clients in there. You're probably thinking, oh, he's moving around a lot. I just can't help it. I just get so excited when so many people, 20 people, join in this YouTube live stream this morning from not the undisclosed location. We'll tell you all about that later. There was another comment just come through there. Extra Life Gaming availability of goods is going to be a big issue this year, going to be a challenging one. Yeah, massively. Kurum Children just joined. Morning, Kurum. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. It's great when we see the regulars on here. Just going to write that down about Extra Life Gaming. He says about goods being a big issue. Goods, supply of goods, massively. Do you know, I'd love to know your name, Extra Life. Extra Life, what a name, Extra Life Gaming. Good supplies, yeah, big issue, massively. Do you know, I was actually speaking to a friend of mine, Kirk Singleton. Kurt's involved in concrete finishing, a very skillful trade, and Kurt finishes those floors in those big warehouses, and he's doing loads of them, and that tells you how the economy is going to be going. And what Kurt tells me is that he feels that after we are finally out of this lockdown, though I don't think that we're ever going to be out of it for some time yet, for the foreseeable future, Kurt tells me that he really feels that the economy is just going to boom. It really is going to boom. I think it will steady at some point, but I think it's going to boom. John V. I'm going to start writing these names down now, because I think it's so important that you engage with your audience. Engaging with an audience is just mutual respect. John V says, hi Johnny, what do you think of installation leveling systems to be used on Porcelain during install? Well, John, I think they're wonderful and it stops that lipping. But the one thing that I would say, and the jury's out at the moment, is that if you think about it, that we were always told that you have a full bed under your paving, and that can be difficult sometimes. What constitutes a full bed? Yeah, I had a bit of a dig at Marshall's many years ago, and I asked them a question. They said about a full bed, but what constitutes a full bed? And when you put those leveling systems in, right, what happens? You wind them up and it levels the slabs. And you do create voids. So what I tend to do, I lay the slab dry, I pick it back up, I fill the void, then I put my priming slurry on, and then I put the slab back down, knowing you just got to keep picking those slabs up. That's all it is to it, right? It's not rocket science. Get it to the levels. Once you identify the levels that you want to work to, it shouldn't be rocket science, but it seems to be that for many. James Davis says, love your videos. They are so informative compared to others. I am a chippy, but about to embark on a large patio. James, you may be able to help me. I started out as an apprentice chippy, but I got the sack. Yeah, I got the sack. I was working for a company called Wild Smith's Contractors over in Gloucester many, many years ago, and I got the sack because I couldn't think straight. My mind was all over the place, but I love woodwork. It'd be great to do a vlog with you one day, James, and see what you're actually doing, mate. It doesn't matter where you are in the country, I will head out to you. I've got a very good friend, Dave Hughes, who's an absolutely wonderful chippy. He does all that first fix, all the timber frame, but he can turn his hands to the internal stuff, the second fix stuff, the hardwood doors, putting those mortise locks on. I tell you what, right? If you've got that ability as a contractor, as a person, as a tradesman, to apply yourself to a discipline, you can almost apply your skill sets to many other disciplines. So James, thanks very much for joining, and I love when people actually join. 27 live viewers, I love it. It's absolutely great. This is what it's all about. We will have Patrick Dwyer. He told me off the week because I kept saying Dwyer. Why am I saying Dwyer? Because my mind's all over the place. Look, thank you all for joining. Alison says, fantastic, James. Good to see she's on it. Good that she's on it. It's brilliant. I just love this. This morning. Steve N is just joined us. Morning, pals. Steve, where are you from? Do you know, when I went to college, I did an HND in garden design. I went to Porcelain College, and I started learning when I started writing things down, because we all learn. We all learn in different ways, don't we? Just the knowledge. We're sponges, aren't we? We are sponges. But that sponge only works. It only works, right, if we start to find out how we learn. And I learn by writing things down. And what I'm going to do now, because I want to remember James's name, James Davis, James the Chippy. And somehow I'm going to be able to mind map James Davis, the Chippy. James, I want to know where you're from. You're a Chippy. I will remember that now because I've written it down. You can ask me at a later date if I remember James's name, James the Chippy. Nidge, how you doing? We're going to write Nidge down. It's good to see Nidge. Nidge is always giving us good, positive feedback on the group. Sorry I have to keep putting my glasses on and off, but it's so important. Got to see what Nidge says. How you doing, mate? Love your videos. Nidge, I love you joining. Steve M from Nottingham. Steve, my brother lives up in Nottingham. Hey, great place, great part of the country. Quick cuppa and off to do a few quotes. Steve, keep us updated. Let us know how you're getting on with your quotes. What are you quoting for? And thanks that you've dropped in on this live stream to actually talk to us. Just to let you know, we haven't got Chameleon Landscapes to join in. Just go back to Steve M there. We want to know what you're doing and what you're quoting. And is your books full for this time of the year at the moment? John Ward says, Pershore, my neck of woods, Johnny. Solihull. John, I used to lay paving in Solihull many, many moons ago, and this man called Roy Francis, who is my hero, without a shadow of a doubt. Roy epitomised everything what I wanted to be like, but I could never be like him because he was a lot taller than me. But he showed me how to lay those 3x2s up in Solihull many, many years ago. Shani 78, morning. Shani, good morning. Hey, Sean, listen, we have got some soil for you. There's some soil heading your way this week for your raised bed. I haven't forgot about you. It's all in hand. Do I ever let people down? I don't. It's not what I'm about. I'm here to support, to help, and to be accountable. That's what it's all about. Matt Cooper says, I work for one of the main manufacturers of hard landscaping products. We are working 24/7 to try and ensure we are meeting customers' requirements. We have been working like this since May last year. Matt, I'd love to know what company that you are working for. You've taken time out to join this live stream this morning. I'll tell you something now, you probably don't realise it, but these live streams are so important because we're all learning from each other. Matt Cooper, we want to know who you are working for. Simon Walsh says, John, are we going to be doing a meetup soon, do you think? I think we will, Simon. I think that time is inevitable. It's going to happen because we have to get back to some normality at some point, but we must be safe. We must be safe. Charlie says, wonderful, but that's not just why I'm here. I know, Sean. I know that. But I just want to remind you, I haven't phoned you, I haven't contacted you, but your soil is arriving. I'm glad that you're able to join this live stream. Remember, for all of you that are actually joining this live stream now, try and share and try and get it out. Tell people about it, what we're doing, what we are doing together as a community to help other people, and to help ourselves. There is nothing wrong with helping ourselves. Being selfish is great. It's great. It puts us in a good position. If you use it in the right way, it's good. But also we can share. Okay, we can share what we do. We can share how we go about stuff. Look, I'm just going to see Simon Walsh. Anthony Casson says, great enthusiasm. Love what you do. Chris Evans of Patio Paving Podcast. Chris Evans. Oh, here he is. Chris Evans. Oh, my God. Here we go. Good morning.
Morning.
It's Patrick Dwyer. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, buddy. You?
Pat, you have just joined a party. We had nearly 40 live viewers on there. We're at 35 at the moment. You've got guys all over the country, and I've been telling them all about you.
Oh, good. All good, I hope.
Yeah. Listen, Patrick, can you just introduce yourself to our audience at the moment because they can hear you? Tell them who you are, what you do, and where you're from while I drink my coffee, kind sir.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Really appreciate it. My name's Patrick Dwyer from Chameleon Landscaping Limited in Sheffield. We offer a full landscape and design service all across the Yorkshire region.
Right. Okay. And tell us a little bit about Sheffield, Patrick, and also, my friend, these videos are being viewed across the world at the moment. I know we've got a bit of following across the pond. So tell our viewers a little bit about Sheffield and Yorkshire. They want to know a little bit about Yorkshire.
Well, Sheffield is renowned for being a steel industry. Well, it was. We still have a steel industry in Sheffield, but it was a big steel manufacturer and part of the steel for the UK economy many years ago. And also Sheffield's well renowned for its silver cutlery, which goes all around the world as well. So, made in Sheffield, and the steel industry goes hand in hand. And obviously Henderson's relish, which a lot of people won't know what Henderson's relish is, but it's absolutely love. It's in between the Peak District and Derbyshire.
Right.
And it's got a lot of ground surrounding greenbelt areas all around it. And believe it or not, I believe Sheffield is the second greenest city in Europe as far as it goes trees per square mile. There's more trees in Sheffield per square mile as a city than any other city in the country.
Oh, I love it. Do you know, Patrick, isn't it great when you know your history, you're able to communicate with your customer about things? I remember, is it right, that story about the old guy that they did a flyover, didn't they, about in the city of Sheffield, about they're making a film about it or something?
Yeah, well, it was about I think it was an American bomber pilot, and he crashed his aircraft away from a populated area when he was coming in from the Second World War bombing raid in Nazi Germany, and he crashed it rather than crashed it into a high residential area. It crashed into some nearby fields. Obviously, the guy died. But he saved countless lives in his acts of heroism.
Do you know, Patrick, that story, I have got goose pimples on my arms at the moment. I've seen that. And he goes there every day, doesn't he, to put the flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. He goes every day and he cleans the war memorial up every day. And, Sheffield's got a very, very deep history in, industry and everything else. And, it has changed a lot over the years. Even in my lifetime, it's changed, and it's becoming a very metropolitan city now.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing that on Sky News, Patrick, and that story always resonates. It just sticks with me about Sheffield. It was just very profound story, and just an amazing story. And even now, I'll be honest with you, you know, that sometimes people are watching me now thinking I'm a complete nut and I'm always enthusiastic, but I tell you what, that's got me. Even now, thinking about that old gentleman, it was just
how can it not get you?
Yeah.
You know, it's remembering what our forefathers and everybody did for us. You know, for us to live the life that we're leading. You know, we've got to appreciate the sacrifices what previous generations have done for us.
Massively. Patrick, we've got to say that this channel that we do, yeah, it's about landscaping, but it's about a community, and it's about making things better and making things more accountable. But we got to say that there's nothing wrong with this channel, is it? Talking about other things, is it? You know,
well, it's landscaper's life. You know, yeah. we talk about everything, don't we? You know, we're just everyday people, and our industry and our profession is landscaping, but we still have got other passions as people, you know, and you know, I've got lots of different hobbies and passions what I do, and you know, it's variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, absolutely. It just can't be all about the landscaping all the time, can it?
Well, as you know, John, for us, it's 90%, 99% of the time our life is about landscaping, but that's 1% we do like to do something different, you know, and for me, I don't know what anybody else does, but, you know, I put a post on our landscaping group a few months ago, and the wealth of different things what other landscapers do in the community. They do racing, and there's musicians, there's people go out and climb mountains and things like that. So it is a very, very proactive community, and we do tend to do things not out of the ordinary.
We Pat, just because you can't see it, it's not fair on you. We've had one question that's come in, or an observation rather, was that supply of goods this year, is it going to get worse? Where are we at with that, Pat? Tell me, what's your spin on it?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I went in last week to, where did I go? Screwfix, and I went to Tool Station to get some 16 gauge brad nails. Now, basically, these brad nails are what we put in the nail fixing guns for when we're fixing timbers and things like that to fences and decking and things like that. And there wasn't any anywhere. I had to order them, and it said basically we're getting 4 packs in. So I said, right, okay, I'll take 4 packs. Now I don't think there's going to be certain things which I think are going to be harder to get hold of than others. But yeah, I think, you know, it's like this Easter weekend, how many thousands of people are going to be out in the garden doing DIY?
That's incredible, Patrick, isn't it? It's just absolutely mad to think that, in one respect, I hope they don't, because it's absolutely freezed out there, but I've got I've got a little job to do myself. It's not long after this podcast, but yeah, that's a fantastic point. This industry at the moment, the DIYers are, and they're allowed to, but they are taking a huge amount of the materials out of what would be a normal marketplace where we could obtain these products.
Yeah. Well, it's. I went to Wicks to get some. Wicks. I went to Wicks to get some masonry paint, and there was a queue of about 45 people yesterday. And I went to the front of the queue, and I said, "I'm not being funny or anything, but is there not a separate queue for trade?"
Yeah.
Because obviously, as tradespeople, we're the time allocated. You know, I haven't got an hour to stand in a queue. I'm waiting for some paint and everything else. But I think it would greatly help if they obviously would let trade go in just as normal, and then obviously the general public to queue, because obviously it's business.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, on that point, how would you summarise how our normal supply sources, how are they prioritising the trade over the The DIYer?
I wouldn't say so, John.
Don't you think?
I think as certain suppliers, they're just thinking whoever's coming to them and paying for stuff, whether it's Joe Public or tradespeople, they're not bothered. They just want to sell as much product as they can. And at the moment, everybody's at the trough getting as much as they can, and that's what they're doing. And service has dropped from certain suppliers because obviously the demand, like everything else, has gone through the roof. And I won't go into so much detail, but I dropped a supplier last week because I was constantly chasing for inquiries and materials, and I was having to ring them 4 or 5 times a day just to get an answer on delivery. So
yeah,
I do think certain merchants are being a little bit greedy and not looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve M. Patrick from Nottingham says a lot of patio packs sold out here. Fence posts gone up in price. It's across the board, forcing trades to bulk buy, which is making the situation worse. But what can we do? What can we do? Says Steve.
Well, I think for it's like for me now going forward with our projects, what we've got booked in. I'm booking my materials 2 weeks in advance, just to make sure that I can get them. And I'm also prepaying for some of my materials. It's the demand's gone through the roof, and unfortunately, consumerism is at an almighty high with coronavirus. And luckily for us in our industry, I think the recession specific, and in our industry, we're one of the fortunate group that have obviously doing very well out of the coronavirus.
Yeah, massively. James Davis says, Patrick, he says, if I have to use B&Q, I will only use a branch that has a trade point entrance and exit. Otherwise, I'm queuing for 30 minutes next to punters after a screwdriver or a nail. John Ward says, I have, and John is a regular caller, a real massive supporter, like all our others of this channel, Patrick. He says, I've had to put a disclaimer in my prices as to say that my costs might go up due to cost rising in material and availability, and the fact that we are not starting anytime soon. Is this something you do as well? Do you warn your clients, that there could be a price increase, or do you allow for that when you quote initially?
I think obviously it's like we were using a supplier for wood, and their wood prices went up by around 40%. Now, obviously, you need to have that conversation with your client, and give them a bit of warning, and just be transparent with them, and just be direct and honest. At the end of the day, the clients know prices are going up for things. They know the demand's there. They've only got to look on Facebook, all the building sector. People are screaming out for builders, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, and everybody knows how busy everybody is. I've been wanting to get a carpet fitter in my own house, and I haven't been able to get one for at least 3 or 4 weeks because they're that booked ahead. So I think the home sort of project and building industry and everything, it's seen a massive exponential growth, and this is the demand, and this is something we just got to deal with.
Hey, Patrick, I'm just going to cover just one thing now. Some fantastic points there, and there's Manor Paving. I got to tell you this, Pat. This is just on a separate subject. I took a comment down of Manor Paving. He's on here now, and I'm glad that he's joined, because I like to apologise to him, Patrick, because this week he said, and I can't quote exactly, but he actually said that my work has improved. And I took it a bit personal, But then I thought, I took it off because I was a bit upset by it, but he's right. My work has improved as a result of social media, because what we have to achieve, the standards, like yourself, people want to aspire to standards like you're achieving on a daily basis, Patrick. It doesn't matter how long I've been in this game, when I see people like you produce the work that you're doing, I want to aspire to that sort of work. So my apologies to Man of Paving. I'm going to read it, what he actually says there. He says, I hear a lot of you guys are saying you are booked into 2022. I think it's a case of you perhaps needing to put your prices up and picking the jobs that you want to take on. What do you think about that comment?
Is that to me or is that to you?
Well, that's to you now. He actually says, I hear a lot of you guys are saying that you're booked to 2022, and I think it's a case of you perhaps in needing to put your prices up and picking the jobs that you want to take on. That's his opinion about where we are at the moment.
Well, yeah, but obviously in our sector there's different standards of workmanship. So,
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't compare myself to other people. All I do is look at what we're producing as a company and the standards what we aspire to achieve, and we set our prices and everything else to what we believe we're worth. You know, and knowing your own worth and actually delivering on it is where you need to be. You know, I'm not going to. As an example, I said to our clients, we're not the cheapest. If you want the cheapest, we're probably not the company you need to be ringing.
No,
but
absolutely.
what I can promise you is that we will deliver a project second to none.
Yeah, I totally get that. Hey, look, but Pat, what do we do with like clients? How do we tell them? You know, how do some of these contractors that are starting out in this game? They're almost under a lot of pressure, aren't they? From because their client base, because their client base is going to say, you know, when can you start? And they're going to give them a date. Is giving dates, hey, and we've discussed this, is giving dates...
Yeah, well, I think just going back to clients, you've got obviously different sorts of clients, and, you know, my client profile has changed over the years. As you get more experience, as you get more developed as a business and you grow as a business, your customer client base tends to change, and with your profile, because obviously your profile of your business changes as well. What I would say to people what are starting out in this game is make sure that what you're putting down and what you're promising the customers you deliver, and never overpromise, underpromise and overachieve, and just be transparent with customers. You're always going to have customers which are going to be price driven, and then you're going to get other customers which want to make sure that they've got the right contractor. Now, for me, customers which are price driven for me, I tend to stay away from, because some customers with outstanding rule just want the cheapest job done possible. And for me, we deliver a product which I believe is an excellent product. You wouldn't go into Aldi and say, right, can I have £5 of bacon? And then go into Harrods in London and say, well, I can get the bacon at Aldi at £5, but your bacon's £10. Well, there might be a reason the bacon is £10 at Harrods, because it might be sourced differently or whatever, as an example. But there is definitely a quality difference, and this is what's got to be noted, and, you know.
Pat, look, listen, this channel is not just about the helping the contractor, it's helping the consumer. We got Shani on here. Shani, I met Shani, she's local to my area. She said, it's hard as a customer that doesn't have the money to have a huge garden makeover. I have struggled massively to get just a small job done. What can you say? What?
Well, what I would say to the customers, and you know, I've met customers this year, and you know, it's about them doing their homework as well. As a customer, if I was a customer and I had a budget and everything else, I would want to see a contractor's work. I'd do my homework on them. I'd look at the work, what they've done. I'd look at the social media sites. I'd look at speaking to some of the previous customers as well and see how they've done.
Yeah, Pat, can I just stop you there a minute? Because what I want to try and do there is that I've covered this as well before. So, and I want to go over this with you. I'm going to write this down. So let's go through it sort of like quite methodically, right? For a customer to choose a contractor, number one, let's look at number one. Let's see if we can do the 10 tips with Patrick and Johnyboy, yeah?
Yeah, I think they definitely need to see how long they've been running as a business.
All right.
What any accreditations they've got.
So number one, so look at their credibility, and that could be of who they are and their standing, and like telephone numbers, isn't it? So yeah. So
if you've got a guy who's turning up in a van, what's not even sign written, and all he's got is a mobile number on a flyer.
So let's call number one transparency, shall we? And we can let's look at transparency. So what Patrick and I, we're going to go through this. We got a bit of time, haven't we, Pat? So transparency. Patrick Dwyer, just to remind our audience, if you are joining now, we've got Patrick Dwyer, our regular caller in, who adds massive value to these podcasts. And we're looking at 10 tips of choosing a contractor from a consumer's perspective. So what we've got, number one, transparency. Now that can cover a number of things. John Ward says, now let's look at number two. What we're looking at, John Ward says, client workbase you can ring and contact. So
definitely.
Yeah, so come on, Pat, tell me. So number two, they've got to be able to. So how do we cover that now? We'd say being able to talk to a reference of an existing or previous client. So
definitely, and I would say not just one. I would say at least two.
Okay, so hey Pat, on that point, we're at number two. So references. I had one of the guys the other week. I said, look, if you get it agreed with your client you've just finished a job for, or previous clients, is there anything wrong with taking a potential client to see a previous client's work?
I've done it.
Right. Okay. And it works.
So
doesn't it?
There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, there's a difference looking at a photo and actually looking at a product in the flesh.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've got number one, transparency of the company, who they are, whether their signs are fan written, and we got to on number one, we got to think of do they just look at mobile numbers, or should they have a number of an office number?
I think they should have an office number.
Landline.
I definitely have a landline number.
Right.
And
so
obviously make sure that all the details are available to the public domain.
Right, great. So we got number one, transparency, landline, credibility of a company. Number two, references, check them out. Number three, I want to sort of add my little bit to this. Number three, being a member of a professional body. What's your opinion of that? Does that help?
I think it does help in some aspects. Obviously, these professional bodies have to accredit members going into their professional bodies, but obviously some accreditations are a lot easier to get than others, and some are obviously, in my eyes as a landscaper, aren't worth the paper they're written on, and some of them are good accreditations. So,
yes, so
it's a case of just obviously looking at what accreditations they've got.
So a member of a pro body, what we're not just talking, let's just say it, we're not just looking at a checker trade or, a Federation of Master Builders. I think that anyone can sign up over that literally overnight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Barley, and obviously as a business we're Chad's accredited as well. And Chad, Certificate of Health and Safety Regulation,
right?
That is a really hard accreditation to get. Up until about 2 years ago, it was pretty simple. But what they've done is they've really locked down or they're given the accreditation to. And we as a business, you know what I'm like with health and safety in my workplace, John, but we've really had to jump through hoops to get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we can do, we can actually, what did you call that? It was called Chad, was it? Chad.
Chad.
And what?
CHAS.
CHAS, the chas, right? So can we have that as number 4? Because I think that deserves to be part of a number by itself.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
And
look,
another thing is going back to that as well, Johnny, is you need to get customers to ask for copies of their public liability and their insurance.
yeah, just read what somebody's been saying now. Shani's listening to this intently now. She says, I think you can learn a lot from just meeting the tradesmen and have some key questions for them and see how they respond. So what she's saying is get your key questions ready for the contractor when they arrive. So we're looking at, so we've got transparency, references, members of a professional body. 4, we've got Chaz. Number 5, what can we have number 5? It's your choice, Pat. It's over to you.
You obviously want to see a portfolio of work.
Portfolio, yeah. And that portfolio can come.
It's all right. Somebody saying, "Well, we've done this, we've done that, we've done this." Yes, they want to see it at some point. And also, I would say just the general, how they carry themselves. You know, I went to a job once. And I went to quote with a client. I come out of his front door, and another contractor had come up. He had a cigarette in his mouth, and he had his t-shirt off. And I was just thinking to myself, why would you even go to a client's house looking like that with a cigarette in your mouth? And yes, some clients probably won't think twice about it, but it just comes down to being professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? That just horrifies me, Pat, when you actually said that.
Cringe.
It is cringy. Look, number 6, I think what we can go here, Mark Owens just moved on to one. He says, morning, gents, a guarantee on work carried out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, guarantee on work carried out for clients. And also, it's like, for instance, we have our electrical contractors. We give all our customers an electrical certificate as well. Yeah. So a guarantee for your workmanship, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally, absolutely. Look, so what we've got, just go over this. We're getting through these quite fast now. Transparency, landline numbers, who they are as a company, and they can get hold of them. That's the transparency. References, we need some references, whether it's in letter form or online reference, and going around to actually speaking to previous customers. Number 3, member of a professional pro body, as we talked about. 4, CHAS, about that competence element of the work. 5, portfolio of work. 6, guarantee of work. What about like 7 with, how do we manage, Pat? How do we manage deposits and things like that? Like, you know, how does that work? How can we include that?
You do a payment schedule and give a client a payment schedule, and you give them receipts, and obviously let them know and give them a full breakdown and everything else of what they're paying for. But obviously, if you've got to do your payment schedule and everything in context of what the job is. If you're doing, say for instance, if we were doing a small job and it was like only 2 days, we wouldn't put a payment schedule in. We'd just get the client to pay at the end of the job.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're doing a big, massive project, and say as an example, it's over £50,000 or £30,000.
Oh my God, yeah.
You'd then put a payment schedule. But I think as long as there's clear communication from the landscaper to the client and make it perfectly open. It's like my clients, I have all my clients' projects and all my clients what are booked in. We have them all on a WhatsApp group as a business because it's easier for us to manage, and we can have more than one person in the group.
Right.
I've got customers what are booked in for 2022, and I just dropped them a quick message the other night saying, "Hi, it's Patrick from Chameleon Landscaping. Hope you're looking forward for when lockdown's out and done with, and hope you're going to have a great summer." Just a quick message to say we've not forgot about you, and we're looking forward to doing your project. But it's all about communication.
Massively. Look, but Pat, I'm going to stay with that just for a moment, but I want to read what people are just saying here. John Ward says, Alison Roberts, yes, Alison, that's why it's so hard for up-and-coming companies, because you need a quality, credited company that are well established and being forget about they are handing over to 20,000. Then Dean Evans says, I don't think anyone can just rely on photos. Years ago, I came across a company using all my pictures on their website as their own jobs, seeing jobs that contractor has done or are currently. We can get watermarks to cover that sort of thing now, can't we, to make sure that people don't steal property. Alan Backshaw says, morning, John Allison, great points as usual. We'll watch full later on. Shani says communication transparency is key, and it's the only way, says Dean Evans. Justin Bartholomew says, Alison, that's the feeling I got. A guy spoke to down, played the vetting process as though it would be washed over, basically wanted load of money to put a sticker on a van. Yeah, absolutely. That's with, what do you reckon, Pat? Just quickly, what do you think of Checker Trade and those types, My Builder stuff and all that? What there is that a really
Checker Trade?
Yeah. Be honest with me. Is it?
I don't personally. This is my own personal opinion. I don't personally think that these things like Checker Trade are as transparent as what they should be, and I honestly think that as long as they're getting a subscription, are they really doing the checking the standards? Because I know businesses in different industries what are on Checker Trade in my local area. There's no way I'd use them.
No, absolutely. I listen. I think it's a great way of sourcing work if you're just starting out, if you're struggling, but certainly it's not the case at the moment. So when we look at 7, we're basically making sure that people deliver on what they say, what you talked about, that you make sure you sort of don't overpromise on what you're actually doing. It's about the realization, isn't it? But so good specifications in a quote, I suppose, would be 7. So making sure that the consumer has a fully itemized written quote. Yeah, Pat?
Yeah, and that's obviously gives a full breakdown and everything else. But and on the flip side as well, there needs to be some reassurance from the customer that obviously for any unforeseens. Because obviously as a contractor and a client, for me personally, I've got to have a good rapport with the client before I'll do any work for them. And it's a two-way relationship, and there's got to be a trust on both sides. So there's got to be some flexibility on both sides, because obviously, as you know, in our industry, when we're doing projects, things can change. When you start uplifting earth and start moving things can change. And I think as long as there's a general understanding and you come across and you're passionate about what you're doing, and this is our livelihood at the end of the day. We're not going to go into this and think, you know what, that'll do. We want to do the best job we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we find a problem, there's just a case. My friend Kirk Singleton, who's a northerner, he said to me, if you have a problem, just get it sorted, isn't it? Get it done. Don't let it drag out, isn't it?
Just deal with it straight away.
Yeah.
My advice is as well for, and I hear this a lot as well, from customers, that I get rung up and we go out and see jobs, and I'll see a job and it's below standard, and I'll say to customers, well, who did you deck in? Oh, it was a friend of a friend, or a family member, or anything like this. And what I can't understand sometimes, for me, if I was saving to have something done, I'd rather save the money up and get somebody right to do the job than going cheap just to get the job done and then expecting the job to be done by a professional. There's a lot of people, and there's got to be some ownership from customers as well, I think, Johnny, because some customers, I know there's people online now, a lot of obviously customers, they can be sometimes their own worst enemies because they're not doing these checks, and they'll just go. There'll be a lad who'll rock up and he's got trainers on, and he'll say, "Well, I'll do your decking and I'll do it £800 cheaper."
Yeah,
and then they're upset when it's falling apart and all rotted within 6 months.
Yeah, and friendships. People lose friendships because they haven't chose the right person to do the job for them. You've got to be able to come back as a consumer and have some. You've got to look for the accountability. And if you're choosing somebody who can't offer the accountability, I think it's a big no-no.
Stay away.
Yeah, Patrick, I'm just going to read a few things that people saying. Because it's important for you to know what's going on here. Simon Walsh says, I think he was referring to Checker Trade. Shall I get myself off there then? But I don't know. It's up to the individual. Matt Cooper says, if any landscaper would like to use my garden for training area as an area to showcase their work, I'd be happy to help them out. John Ward says, don't get Checker Trade and various others confused wit. Justin Bartholomew, Pat, you've got to gauge this, mate, what the interest that you're engaging now. Checker Trade told me my work should be on because my van looked good. Oh, well,
there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is that there's that many. Let's be right about it. The DIY and the home improvement is absolutely booming, and it's absolutely boomed for the last few years.
Yeah.
This is not just because of COVID. This was happening before COVID as well. But I just think clients are misguided with all these different companies which are saying, we'll get the right tradesmen and everything else for you. I think it's about customers taking their own accountability and asking the questions, asking all the uncomfortable questions as well to tradespeople and find out what they're about. It's like if I get any tradespeople coming to my house, the first thing I will do is I will go online and I will look at their accounts.
Yeah.
What they submitted to the tax office. Now that tells me straight away whether they're a profitable organisation, if too they've gone into liquidation, or how long they've been trading. And then before you know it, by just looking at that, and anybody can get that information for HMRC, you just go and look at what the turnover is for a year, and then you know how long they've been trading. You said to that contractor, how long have you been trading?
Do you know, Pat?
10 years, and they've only been trading 2 years. You'd know.
Yeah, look, I got to say that. I'm going to make that number 8 simply itself. Don't choose anybody that's bankrupt. Is that correct?
Definitely, I wouldn't.
So no bankrupt. So people make mistakes, and we got to watch what we're actually saying there. But would you employ somebody that if they were bankrupt?
Well, if they've been bankrupt, so obviously every situation, everything has a different outcome, but there's obviously been some sort of mismanagement there if they've been bankrupt. Yeah. But for me as a business, I would do everything in my power to not be bankrupt. And but when you're seeing businesses start up, and the thing is, when there's no longevity, and when you're seeing a contractor who's got a name and he's got loads of different businesses in his name, that's a red flag. I'd stay well clear from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you still there, Pat?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Yeah. I just try to Rob M. I'm not sure where Rob's from. Rob says, very good shout on checking companies' house. I think, we got to think, we got to give people that people go bankrupt for many different reasons, do we do? I don't know. It's a bit of a.
Also, Johnny, as well, people go bankrupt for tax evasion. So do you want that sort of person on your property? See, this is the thing. This is when you have discussions and dialogue in this community. This is when we think. So really, sort of number 8, you should be avoiding those types of... Because it does happen. You see companies out there on a regular basis that they've gone bankrupt one day and they're trading the next day on a different job, aren't they? They're taking money off people. It's for me, it just... I've been trading over 11 years as Chameleon landscaping, and it's took me a long time to get to that position. And companies do make mistakes, but it's how you rectify your mistakes. And how you deal with your business, and it all comes down to communication and transparency again.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, number nine, do you give money to somebody you don't know? You hear it all too often where they've agreed, they've had a verbal agreement, okay, a verbal agreement on the doorstep. Then the next thing you know, they'll ask for some cash off that customer. So let's cover that topic, Patrick. How do customers deal with giving money and making sure that there's some recourse? The word is recourse.
I think, well, from when we take our stage payments, we take them through backs. We tend to stay well clear from cash because it just is a grey area for companies. And obviously it's not traceable as well, as in, at least with the backs, payment and everything else, it goes through, it's on your accounts, and it's easy to manage, and for your accounts and when you're sending your accounts in. But obviously there's going to be smaller companies what do take cash payments. We're getting asked a lot if we can take credit card payments, and that is something we're looking into. But I think from a customer's point of view, you'll get a gauge yourself on if say for instance a landscaper's asking for all the money up front, stay away.
Yeah,
absolutely stay away. Well, I think if a landscaper's asking for all the money up front, just don't even bother. I think it's reasonable for a landscaper on the first couple of days of their job to ask for 30-40% of the project costs. Because obviously from a landscape and a business point of view, it's cash flow. But as a customer, you've got to follow your gut instinct a bit as well. And, you'll get a vibe if you think, well, that doesn't sit right with me. If it doesn't sit right with you, speak to them. And if you're not getting the right answers, don't go with them.
Yeah, and if you are handing over money, you want to be doing it through the bank, really. I know that some...
Yeah, and you want a receipt.
Pat, I was only saying the other day that years ago people would always... some of the older people, they never dealt in online stuff, and it's still the case now with some people out there that they don't deal in online bank transfers, and unfortunately some of these older people haven't got people to do the online banking for them. I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of neighbours doors up from us years ago, I'll tell you her name now, Mrs. Powell, she's no longer with us, and she had some work done, and then they decided that there was some extra work involved, and the price went from, I think it was 3,700 to 4,800 for a little bit of concrete they had to take out. And then they took her to the bank. She was 86 years of age. They put her in the lorry, took her to the bank, and in the lorry, and she was withdrawing £12,500, Patrick. But the police caught him in time.
That's terrible.
Awful.
And the thing is, it happens, unfortunately. But this is, it goes back to customers doing the homework and talking about these steps we've just been speaking about. My dad was the same, John. My dad used to keep thousands and thousands of pounds underneath his bed, and I used to say to him, Dad, get it in the bank, get it in the bank. But he won't, because it was old school, and like you said, unfortunately, a lot of these older generation, like my mom and like my dad, they just dealt with cash.
All right, so Pat, I just stop you there for a moment. Just imagine now, and you can answer. I'm not being rude to you, right? So you're a contractor. You're at that door. You've probably supplied the sand and you've dug it out, and then you go to your customer. If say, for instance, that they haven't taken a deposit, and you're a contractor. That's how it's gone. That's this situation. We're talking about possibility, and the customer comes to the door and says, "Oh, here we are. I've got some cash for you." As a contractor, at that point,
I don't take it.
That's what I'm asking. What
I've had in the past, I've had a lady. She's come to the door, and we've done some work for her. She's asked to pay cash. I said, from my point of view, because I've obviously heard of all these horror stories, I wanted to protect myself, and I said, have you got a daughter or a son I can speak to? So I rang them up. I said, look, your mum's offered to pay me cash. I don't feel comfortable taking cash offer, because I would appreciate if we could just sort out a batch transfer for the work what's been done.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, thank you. They said to me, thank you very much for doing that, obviously, because I know myself, my mum gets confused.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't want to put myself in a situation where there was grey areas. And this is then going back to being transparent as a contractor and being honest and transparent, you know. And I never put myself in a compromising situation with clients when it comes to money, and this is why we always take back payments.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, I'll tell you now, I've gone back at the end of a day, and I've seen, how we used to run things years ago was a little bit different, and I used to get back and I say to Alison, I say, Mrs. Jones, whatever, she just offered me some cash, and or if we've priced the job previous and we feel that those customers are potentially a bit vulnerable or massively vulnerable, what I always suggest that I try to speak to another member of the family, or a good neighbour or a good friend.
Yeah, I always do that, because at the end of the day, I always think, well, if it was my mum getting some work done, I'd want to make sure that she's looked after and she's dealing with a professional organisation. And this is where it comes back to accountability and making sure that you're getting the right professionals in. I had a conversation with you a couple of weeks ago about a project we've just finished off at Mexborough, where the client said he's had workmen and contractors at his house before, and he felt very uncomfortable with them being on site. And he said that my guys, and as a business, have been a pleasure to have on site. But that comes by being a professional organisation and taking accountability for your actions and being transparent and being professional.
Pat, I just think that it certainly is well with, I think the marketplace is absolutely crazy at the moment, isn't it? And I think people...
Yeah.
Would you say that some consumers are actually desperate to get in their garden, to have it to look nice, and just want anybody to...
Consumers have done mental job. The demand's just insane, and unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to take advantage of this demand,
Yeah.
And they are going to tarnish our industry.
Pat, I knew that you was going to say that word, but it's fact. I'm not talking over the top of you now, and if I am, I apologise. But you are 100% bang on. Our industry is without doubt going to be tarnished of what's going on now, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. See, the thing is, our industry, it's probably one of the most undervalued industries going. If I walked up to somebody and said, oh, I was an electrician or a plumber, they'd expect to pay a certain level of payment for services. But the problem you've got with our industry, Dave down the road, who does a bit of gardening, can do you that decking, and then before you know it, Dave's made a proper mess.
Pat, I'm gonna put my hands up here. Many years ago, I cleaned a garden and I took out what I thought was weeds. This is the thing, you see, right? This is the thing where people don't understand that I was only a young lad, and before I went to college and started learning about things, I couldn't even spell deciduous, let alone know what deciduous was. But I took out this lady's Clematis montana. I admit openly now, I took this Clematis montana out. I thinking it was just a dead piece of wood, and it was a prize plant. And she forgave me. But the fact is, when choosing your contractor, choose wisely in respect of their abilities to do the job of the task that they've been asked to carry out.
Well, it's like for instance, if you've got a turfing company and it says artificial grass company this, and you want some paving doing,
yeah,
there's your answer.
Yeah.
If they're predominantly, they've got on their side of their van garden maintenance, and you're wanting porcelain paving doing, there's the problem. If it says on the side of their van, artificial grass suppliers, we do artificial grass decking, and you're wanting porcelain paving doing, there's your problem.
Pat, I gotta say now, I'm like a lighten the load now. How do you feel when you see those vans when they say decking, paving, electrics, roofing, blah, 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 the lot, when they can do the lot?
It makes me cringe because obviously I know what level we work to, and it's all about setting the standard. Now, there's builders out there which are really, really good builders, and they can do really good. There's a couple of builders I know which would make brilliant landscapers, and they do really good landscaping jobs. But there's, on the flip side, there's an awful lot of builders what are really, really good at building, but they're absolutely shocking at landscaping.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've not got that detail. A professional landscaping company have got that detail.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that you've got to be able to cover the areas that you're good at, right? And what about education? We're at number 10. We're talking about qualifications, right? But what about education in proving? We're talking about having a proven track record, but showing that you are qualified, you've got some sitting guilds or some sort of training or your experience. But no.
Well, it's training again and going back and developing the skills as a business. As a business, as an example, I know for a fact there's no business in our area what we do, and I will say in our city what are developing the team as much as what we're trying to do. As a business, we've got a child protection policy, we've got an environmental policy, we've got all our policies and all our caution, everything in place in health and safety. Now, there's big businesses with hundreds of staff what don't do half as much as what we do as a business in regard to health and safety and protecting the environment, and but that comes down to being professional again.
Yeah, look, Pat, I think we've covered so many points here now, and we've gone over it, and we've done it with gusto and passion, and I think that people will really enjoy this live feed. And would you please like to come back on here again, and let's just keep this wave going and keep it moving forward and trying to help people.
And the thing is for customers as well, just so if it's worth the wait, I'd wait for you to get the right contractor. It's like having a really nice meal. If you were going to have a meal from McDonald's or a really nice meal which you've got to save up for, I would obviously say save up for the really nice meal, because the outcome is going to be so much better for you and it'll reach your expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, I just blown away by all this information that's coming out. We're going to repeat this conversation again at some point in the future. What can we do now, Patrick? People that watch this video, if somebody was looking for somebody up in Sheffield, can you just say who you are, what you do? Just remind our audience again, your website address, etc., so that if people are looking to get a quota. But you're booked up for some time now, I believe, aren't you, Pat?
Yeah, we've seen a massive growth as a business, and we're taking more team members on, as you know, John. But we are getting a hell of a lot of inquiries. We're probably getting about 40 inquiries a week. And then obviously, due to demand and everything else, we've got quite a bit of a waiting list. But it's the same again. It just do your homework. It's took me a lot of years to get where we are as a business, and thankfully, I'm starting to get the right team members in and getting. It's all down to the team. It's not just one person.
Let me just read you some of the comments. John Ward says, pity customers aren't listening to this. Would be a good insight for them. Alan Baxwell says, congratulations, great show. He's really enjoyed listening to us. And Simon Walsh apparently is coming to work for you. Pat, seriously, if there was a contract, and we ain't talking about a young lad now or somebody starting in the industry, just for argument's sake, there's a contractor up in your area that is doing good, he's all right, but he's struggling for a bit of work. Would you allow somebody to come and work for you for a period of time, or no? Or if you was looking for somebody?
Definitely. We're always advertising for staff. You know, we're always looking for the right candidates to join our team. Now, yet again, I've got, you know how I work, and I've got a very high level of expectation of what I want from team members. And if people do come on, join onto the team, they've got to have something about them and be passionate about this industry.
Yeah. Respectful as well, haven't they? Being respectful.
Yeah, and it's like my guys what work for me, they've all got their strengths and they've all got their own personalities, and it's a really good mixture of guys, you know, and we've got a varied age group and ethnic minority group who work for me, and I'm very, very open. You know, I'd love to get a woman landscaper working for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would absolutely love it, because I think it's an area where it'd be amazing, and I think there's some really good female landscapers out there, but it's like everything else. It's trying to get the staff. It's probably one of the hardest things at the moment. Yeah,
you know, Pat, would it be good to sort of get somebody on the plant side of things, or maybe what about an in-house designer? Because a lot of lady designers, there's some good male designers as well out there. Like, but if you had somebody to fill the space now, what space would you want filled out at the moment? If you could just have a pick of the bunch and picking that team off that wall now. An horticulturalist.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a really good designer now what works for us, and that's took a lot of pressure off me, so I can focus on other aspects of the business. But definitely, I would love someone who will be either part-time horticulturalist who could just come at the end of the jobs and plant out and the soil samples and give really good advice. And there's always areas as a business where we're finding that we want to improve on, you know.
Yeah, but that's another service that you can actually offer as well. So if you're an horticulturist, male or female, whatever you are, just give Chameleon Landscapes in Sheffield a ring. Just give them a call, drop them an email. Patrick, what's the web address and your email address?
Our web address is www.chameleon-landscaping.co.uk, and our email address is chameleon-landscaping@hotmail.co.uk.
And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Instagram, Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, and any other conceivable social media site.
Do you know, Pat, it's been great having you on the show today, and I really, really appreciate it. People are loving it. They're really enjoying it. And it's not just about me, it's about the community and getting together. Don't forget, mine, next week, you've got to have another topic of conversation. And if somebody wants to revisit, just to let you know, if you want to revisit any of the topics that have been covered in this show today, we'll do it again next week. Pat, have a great weekend. Have a great Easter. Give my love to all your family. Have a great time. And please be safe, brother.
All right, all the best. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
So, yeah, there you go. Patrick says thanks. Take care, brother. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, do you know, I actually hate doing that and saying goodbye to Patrick, because I could just talk to him all day and chewing the fat, as they say. Really good to have Patrick on here and have his insight to all good things landscaping, all bad things landscaping as well. He covered a huge amount. John Ward, thanks very much for all your comments and your support. Matthew Cooper, thank you as well. Just going through. John Ward says, quality again, John and Alison. Great, informative podcast. Many thanks for Patrick as well. Great to spend your time. Wouldn't it be nice, John, if eventually we can have a live guest on a YouTube feed. It can be done, apparently. I have been checking out, and we're going to get you on there. Justin Bartholomew says, my background is horticultural, but always find this part of a job that clients try to do for themselves. They do. But you know, the thing is, Justin, if you're able to sort of showcase what you can do, maybe they will take you on. It doesn't mean to say just because they know about it, doesn't mean to say they want to do it as well. I've come across that, though. I actually empathize with that totally, 100%. Steve Burrows says that they are a first-class family-owned company. If anybody's looking for a quality porcelain, Gwent Tiles, that's what people do. They promote their products on this live stream. Look, no matter where you are, John Ward, thanks very much again for joining. Be safe, brother. Have a great weekend. And all of you, Kurum as well, Kurum Chowdhury. Kurum, thank you. You make it a great show. Sick of Lies, nice one. Johnyboy, great name. Love these names on YouTube. Don't forget mine. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I don't know if you can't see it unless you subscribe. So what I'm on about, share the channel, share the show, start talking. Hopefully somebody will have some benefit and help from this show. If you are a supplier or a manufacturer, or you want to talk about your product, just drop us an email to info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk. If you're a landscaper and you want to be part of a big community, you need to join Landscaping Survival with Johnyboy. Thank you for joining. Really enjoyed it today. And as I said, if you want to talk about your product, you want to get it out here and you want us to talk about it, just drop us an email. Steve Burrows, if your family-run business that you spoke of, once again, Top Chat ago, if they want to be focused on this, maybe we could do a live stream from their premises and we can interview the owner over there. So let them know. They can be part of this podcast and hopefully get the right information out. It's tough times at the moment in some respects. Everybody's booming at the moment, but I don't think it's great. It's not steady. It's like a volcano at the moment. It's just gone absolutely crazy. Look, that's it. I thoroughly enjoyed having you guys on here as per usual. I love doing this on a Saturday morning. It takes me back to all those years ago when I was a young lad working on site. We always had to work a Saturday morning. But my Saturday mornings comprise of being in this office, in the dry, in the warm, hot cup of coffee, and of course a donut. I'm gonna have a donut again. It'll be my third one of the day. Look, the most important thing that comes from these live streams is please be safe. Thank you, Larry. Thank you for joining. And if you are a potential customer or a consumer for any landscaper out there, you need some advice. We got another caller coming in now, but we're not going to take it. If you need some advice, just drop us an email at info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk. You can comment on this video, share the video, let people know about what we're doing, all of us. Stay safe. Have a happy Easter. Take care.